Hello and welcome to another video where I talk about brands and their websites and whether or not I think they're telling a great narrative for their audience. And today I want to talk about the Mountain Dew rebrand, or as someone in my comment section on LinkedIn, the the refresh. But I'm going to talk about why this is not a refresh, and I'm going to use this article from CNN Business to talk about it a little bit. But before we get too deep, I want to talk about some new coaching offerings I have. So for $500 for 6 hours, I will help you with your business to go to the next level. So if that means like you haven't started a business, but you want to get off on the right foot, or if you have a business and you need some help like with like rebranding and kind of figuring out how to do that, just like any level you are, just like bumping up just like a little bit, like that's what I'm here for. So this is meant to be something that's affordable for folks rather than like, because when I do like a rebrand, it's, several $1,000s, or just like branding projects in general. So this is like an easy way to start working with me. So if you're interested in that, go to chapterscreative.com, hit me up there, or email me at chaptercrtv@gmail.com, and we will get you going. It'll be a good time, and I know I can help you. So without further ado, let's talk about this Mountain Dew rebrand. So I had a friend. I have a friend named Max Hofert. We've worked together before. He's a great designer, and he kind of talked about like why he liked it. But I'm going to take another approach to it. I'm going to talk about how this refresh or rebrand, I tend to call it a rebrand, is kind of a white flag from PepsiCo. And I looked up this article today, and it kind of, I don't know, like I think it feels like even they feel like it's a white flag, so to speak. Like they might be giving up on what Mountain Dew has been, and we're gonna, the article kind of talks about like what they think it could be and why I feel like it's not a great idea. But let's go through this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's just go with it. So Mountain Dew, as you can tell, like right here, it says MTN. Its abbreviation, as all the U's do these days. But Mountain Dew is getting a makeover with the word mountain reappearing on cans and bottles following a roughly 2-decade-long hiatus. The PepsiCo-owned beverage is unveiling Wednesday a new logo and packaging design that drops its sharply angular font, an abbreviated title for imagery that evokes its rustic roots, as well as bringing back its namesake title to cans and bottles. Consumers will see a new look rolling out next May. So it's not even happening till like next May, but they're already like drumming up this rebrand, talking about it like 6-7 months prior to it happening, which I thought it was interesting. The changes come amid slowing demand from North America from PepsiCo's beverages, and more specifically, a sharp decline in volume for Mountain Dew, which have fallen 7% in the first half of 2024, according to figures provided to CNN from Beverage Digest, a trade publication. Mountain Dew appears ready to shake off off the adrenaline rush that has defined the brand's marketing for almost 2 decades, when a key strategy to market Dew like energy drink to an energy drink crowd. From Dwayne Stanford, editor and publisher of Beverage Digest, told CNN. So what Dwayne here is talking about is how, like, at least like in the last 20 years, Mountain Dew has marketed itself to like extreme sports athletes, or people who are like more like, like the whole idea is like extreme, bro. Like skateboarders, BMX riders, mountain bikers, like that sort of thing. And I feel like that this, like I said, this is a punt going back to the nostalgia play, which, like, subjectively, like, I think, like, yeah, this logo looks great, the can looks great, but that's like without the prior knowledge of what like Mountain Dew has been. And like I remember seeing like things sponsored by them, like, different competitions and things like that. But it feels like to me that Red Bull and like a Monster has kind of taken the world championship of extreme beverages for Mountain Dew. And it gets into a little bit later in this article, but like I feel like with like big brands, I feel like they don't they don't really play, not so much like play small, but they don't think of like the grassroots type of marketing that could keep a beverage or any other brand like front and center in mind from people. So again, like it says here, when a key strategy was to market Dew like energy drink to energy drink crowd. Because that's not to say like energy drinks are any better health wise than a Mountain Dew, especially like the sugar, the full sugar like Monsters or like Red Bull, right? Of course, like they have other things in it other than caffeine to like, you know, get people through the day or whatever. But like, I don't think the difference is all that much. So like, I feel like Mountain Dew, like if they decided to kind of like turn up the temperature on that sort of thing, or even like, it doesn't even have to be an outdoor like type of thing. Like there's a huge esports audience. It's like, well, why not sponsor some esports tournaments, or why not sponsor some like esports like athletes? It feels weird saying esports athletes, but let's just go with it. But like, I feel like if they could have just like dug down a little bit deeper into the culture, that, you know, they could still be on par, but it says they're down 7%. So let's keep going. Dew's new look. Tapping into nostalgia, the new logo marks return of the Mountain, which was dropped in 2009 as part of a larger rebrand of PepsiCo's soda portfolio, which also included a fresh work for a now defunct Sierra Mist. So that was a failure from PepsiCo. Anyway, let's moving on. Spelling out the word mountain is, quote, a direct link to the origins of the brand, which is the mountains and the outdoors. True, said Mauro Porcini, Senior Vice President and Chief Design Officer at PepsiCo, who led the redesign. A nod to its funding date of 1948, when it was created as a mixer in the Tennessee Smoky Mountains. Shout out to Tennessee, used to live there. Great state other than the politics. Was also added to the logo. Hardcore Dew fans may recognize a new logo slightly resembles the logo used in the 1990s, but Porcini told CNN that it's modernized and projected to feel the three-dimensionality of the words, giving it a more current look with softened angles. So here, like, I feel like Mr. Porcini, with all due respect, like, of course he's a design guy. For me, I'm a narrative guy. And I feel like, and I'm glad they have this right here on CNN to kind of like look at the different logos here, because I feel like in 2009 or even like 2005, there was a choice to be like, we're going to be more extreme. We're going to market to a different crowd. We're not going to be like another Sprite or Coca-Cola where it doesn't have like an identity. I know like designers are going to go nuts and be like, well, it's a visual identity. No, I'm talking about like a true personality in the narrative it brings forth, rather than just like, oh, this is nostalgia, but it's just like, no, this is like, you know, we're speaking to an actual person. So to me, you know, going from like 2005 and 2009, like I feel like that speaks to someone. But to 2025, I feel like they're saying, you know what, we give up. We're going to hand our former audience over to the energy drink crowd. We're done. We're going back to where this is an every person drink. And it gets into a little bit later as for like what kind of things they're trying to signify with this. But like, I don't feel like it rings true. So I feel like our true refresh would still keep the personality and attitude of the 2009. But for me, when there's a de-emphasis on an audience, to me that is a rebrand, because to me a rebrand is far more than just a brand visual. If you're changing your philosophy, that's a rebrand, because there are a lot of rebrands or refreshes that don't do that. It's just like kind of like clean things up. Like I've done refreshes where things were cleaned up, but the overall mission or the personality of the brand like stayed in place. This is a rebrand. Other touches include the leaf to dot the I. So there's a leaf right there. I don't know if you can see my cursor above the I. In the mountainous background, a citrus-inspired yellow hues, which Porcini said connects to the beverage's fruity flavor. I think that's a stretch. In the previous design, we were not very clear in communicating the refreshment cues, Porcini admitted, but it was more about the energy of the sharp angles exploding on the can. But I feel like the sharp angles on the can is what gave it the personality. No one's thinking about like maybe citrus because like they're used to the yellow and the greens being like a Sprite type of a color as far as those visual cues, but they don't just belong to Mountain Dew, and that's a problem as far as the visual aspect goes. Mountain Dew has long been marketed as an energy drink because of its sugar and caffeine content, but the new look is meant to conjure up a different kind of energy that's coming from the outdoors. Okay, let's keep going. The soda brand recently brought back its famous Do the Do tagline and introduced the Mountain Dude, a new character that encourages Gen Z to peel their eyes from the screens and enjoy the outdoors. Let's go here for a second. Let's play it a little bit. Maybe you'll hear it, maybe you won't, but I don't think it matters too much because you'll be able to see what's happening. So everyone's on their screens.
On the mountain, we've got a saying.
And there's the Mountain Dew.
Get off your ass.
Get off your ass. Enjoy Mountain Dew and go outside. Ah, isn't that fresh? And there's a ram doing that.
Touchdown!
Touchdown. Anyway, a major change in marketing is essential for Mountain Dew. PepsiCo has little choice but to improve its sales since the beverage is one of its biggest brands, Stanford said. PepsiCo also owns Rockstar Energy. Keep that in mind. It has a $500 million investment in Celsius, a trendy energy drink brand. Keep that in mind as well. So the need to do to compete as an energy brand isn't as critical. Here's a problem with this. No one is looking at Mountain Dew and saying like, that's the soda for Patagonia drinkers. That's the soda for people who are like hiking. It's the soda for people who are mountain biking. It's a soda for people who are getting outside and skateboarding or rollerblading. So for me, this thing will be like, of course, like the Mountain Dude thing, like it calls back like the dude from the Big Lebowski, which is like, okay, cool. Like not every idea has to be wholly original. I get it. But like, even though they have these other drinks in their portfolio, those two beverages are marketing to different people. Like the Celsius, it's more like feminine. Rockstar, like I feel like that's more of like a nighttime, like clubbing type of situation. Whereas Mountain Dew, like can still occupy an audience for like extreme sports and things like that. So like to me, like I said, it says like it isn't as critical, but like they don't need to compete as an energy brand. They need to compete as a lifestyle brand. So there's no competition between Mountain Dew, Rockstar, and Celsius, in my opinion. That's a very general statement, but I believe that's true. So I feel like waving the flag on this and trying to make this thing to try to market Mountain Dew to an audience that like kind of doesn't give a shit, that is a rough sale. I would not be shocked to see, even though they say otherwise in the rest of the article, I would not be shocked to see it further go down, because I feel like I said, there's a lot more like guerrilla marketing that Mountain Dew could do. You know, whether it's like the outside extreme sports or like the people who stay inside, like, you know, the esports aspect to it. Playing smaller as far as like the more, like it's like an indie band, you know, they go out and like on flyer people and meet people face to face versus like being like an untouchable brand. Like I feel like that's where Mountain Dew should have went. Like, of course, retouch the Mountain Dew logo here, but like the whole philosophy, like I just don't think I don't think it works. Rolling out our fresh looks comes amid a tough time for soda manufacturers. Drinkers are shifting their preferences away from sugary sodas and towards sparkling waters, hydration beverages, and better-for-you alternatives. I can concur for me personally. PepsiCo took a full-year revenue outlook Tuesday, PepsiCo cut its full-year revenue outlook Tuesday, partially because of slower volume for its North American beverage unit. The cumulative impacts of inflation pressures and higher borrowing costs over the last few years have continued to impact consumer budgets and spending patterns, said PepsiCo CEO Ramon Laguarta in a statement. Plus, smaller rivals like Poppi and Olipop, great brand, like that drink, are growing in popularity and distribution, with the latter brand recently releasing a Mountain Dew-like flavor of its own called Ridge Rush, also featuring mountains on its cans. See, that's another thing too. If Olipop is taking their drink and doing more of like a Mountain Dew kind of flavor, the people that are leaving Mountain Dew to try something healthier, they're already taking that audience. So why not double down on an audience that you kind of are like you kind of own already or have been owning? So if we're going to play on nostalgia, play on the nostalgia of 2005, where like that's 20 years ago. So for me, like I'm 39, like 19 years old. I was in 2005. Like those are the things that people are going back to right now, not 1996, because like are you marketing to people who are 40, 45 or 50? No, like things like when we were Young Festival, that's 2005. The Warped Tour is coming back, 2005. I'm pretty sure Mountain Dew is a sponsor like a couple of years of that. That's where you want to look. You don't want to look to 1996. You want to look for 2005 if you want nostalgia. Let's go back. The new look for Mountain Dew is more about the evolution and nurturing that we wanted to give this beloved franchise, said JP Bittencourt, Vice President of Marketing for Mountain Dew. This design has been in the works for some time, so it's not a response to anybody. But for me, like all I've been reading is responses to Olipop, to its own brands like Rockstar and Celsius. Because I'm sorry, JP, but I think this is bullshit. Plus, like this world does not move fast as far as like making decisions like that. So like if in the last 3 months, especially if that like that video, the Do the Dude video, has only been out for 3 months, I feel like that, yes, like maybe this has been in the works for a bit, but I do believe it's a response. And I feel like it's a misguided response when these CEOs are thinking so large, like, oh man, we're down 7%. It's like, there's not enough time for them to switch gears and be like, maybe we should rethink how we're marketing this. Maybe not change everything to it, but get the right idea what true nostalgia is for people like myself, who in 2005 who are 19, or people younger than myself, like maybe 35-year-olds, like they're 15 and like buying this shit from 7-Eleven on their way home from school and going to Warped Tour in the summer or whatever else. Like that's the true nostalgia, not 10 years prior to that. Rebrand could also attract drinkers that have perhaps forgotten about Mountain Dew. Betancourt told CNN that the brand saw huge lifts with our most ardent and equally important for those who have not tried us in some time. Huge lifts, that's kind of a general and a vague situation, especially if it hasn't been rolled out yet. So it's like, are they talking about their testing, which I'm assuming that's what they're talking about. Like, our testing has shown blah, 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 blah. So I think it's remains to be seen. I do think there might be some confirmation bias on them. I'm curious to see what it's going to be like, see if there's any updates as far as like their P&Ls or something like that. But overall, like I think this rebrand, it is a rebrand, not a refresh, is successful. And like I said, I do think it looks good, the rebrand, but like within how they changed it, they're losing a lot more than just the sharper edges. And I wish this world would think about its audiences a lot more and think about the ramifications and the consequences. So that's all I'm going to say about Mountain Dew. I tried Mountain Dew Zero, their Baja Blast, and it was awful. I love Zero and Zero drinks like Coke Zero, or even like 0-calorie drinks like Ghost, who I've talked about before. Check out that video. But it's bad. And I also think this visually, the rebrand is good, but overall, as far as what it means, it's bad. So that's it. If you'd like me to work on your brand campaigns or content campaigns, go to chapterscreative.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Chapters Creative. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Matthew Nanes, Nanes. And also, I am on TikTok as well, Chapters Creative on there as well. And if you have any questions, leave a comment, or if you, like I said, if you want to work with me, also email me at chapterscrtv@gmail.com. Anyway, this was a lot of fun, and I hope to talk to you soon.